So next up, podcast listeners, we have the dumbest bill in America. Do we have a lead up, Mr. Producer? Here it is.
Dum 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 dum.
And it's the dumbest bill in America, and it is illegals get free college in Minnesota. Can't make this stuff up. There was a bill in Minnesota, and we've talked about the bill before, that discussed the fact that maybe they would give free college tuition to people who are illegally present in the state of Minnesota. Well, guess what? That bill has now passed. It is now the law. The governor has signed the bill, and the Minnesota Democrats voted last week to grant illegal immigrants in their state free college tuition along with other perks. Democrat state lawmakers added a number of state benefits for illegals, including allowing them to obtain driver's licenses, access state-funded health care, free health care, by the way, not just access it, because I just want to make this really clear. If you are sick in the United States of America and you go to an emergency room, you will be treated regardless of your status and regardless of your having or not having insurance. That has been the law forever. But also giving them free health care. In other words, free health care, period, like going to an internist, going to a doctor, going to a specialist, and to apply for college, according to Axios, the far left magazine. But we also checked this out. It is true. One program in particular, called the North Star Promise, will allow illegal immigrants to have their full tuition paid if they enroll in a 2 or 4 year program within the University of Minnesota system. Think about this. You can go to school for 4 years to college, and the taxpayers of Minnesota pay for it. So why wouldn't you cross the border illegally, flee to Minnesota, where you can get a free college, basically education, free health care, and then free vouchers for food, you're fed, free housing. That's what all these perks do, right? Because you can't go to college if you can't live somewhere and you can't afford to pay your rent. So that's what Minnesota did. They did these wraparound services for people who are illegally present. So why wouldn't you have millions, if not tens of millions of people wanting to come to the border, to cross the border illegally, so we no longer then become a nation of laws and the rule of law. Instead, we actually have our nation upended because we become lawless. We're giving people more benefits who are not working to build our country than we are the people that are here who have built our country. To be eligible for the program, illegals must come from a household with an income of $80,000 or less. Well, of course they have a household income of $80,000 or less. They just got here and have either graduated from a Minnesota high school or have lived in the state for a year. So in other words, move to Minnesota or flee to Minnesota after you cross the border, stay there for a year, don't earn a lot of money, and then you get to go to college for free. You get free housing, you get free food, and you get free healthcare. Pretty good deal, huh? Sounds a lot like Marxism-Leninism. Wonder how that turned out. So we want to make sure that when we're expanding, quote, opportunities for everybody, we're doing it for all Minnesotans, regardless of their background, regardless of their documentation status, Democrat State Senator Omar Fateh said. Well, the Democrats, you'll love this. They only allowed one Republican on the legislature's Higher Education Committee in the state legislature, and they did that so they could force through this legislation. So State Representative Marion O'Neill, the only Republican on the legislature's Higher Education Committee, said she was completely frozen out of all discussions. In other words, they had a bill hearing, and then all of the real work was done in the back room without any Republicans or any diversity of thought present in the room. And that was intentional, of course, so they could push this through. The move from Minnesota Democrats comes as U.S. experiences record-breaking illegal immigration. No wonder. With tens of thousands of illegals crossing the southern border every month, there have been more than 1 million encounters with illegals crossing the border already just this year. I'm sure that actually there are significantly more than 1 million people that have crossed this year. Where would you go if you got free food, free healthcare, free housing, free education? You would obviously go to Minnesota. It's just not going to end well, ladies and gentlemen, and we know it, and it's also not fair to the citizens of the United States and to the rule of law. And that's the dumbest bill in America. Illegals get free college. And that's it for Mark and the Millennials. Thank you for joining Mark and the Millennials. This is Mark Fisher. Thank you to our producer, Christopher Hopkins. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Getter, True Social, Rumble, and our website. See you next time.